The LPGA Tour had Caitlin Clark play.
The LPGA just created a stir, and it's one that has the WNBA frustrated. Recently, the LPGA invited Caitlin Clark, one of women's basketball's brightest young stars, to join a special event. The outcome? A massive crowd. Excitement levels soaring and a new wave of fans embracing women's golf. The LPGA openly celebrated Clark's presence, understanding the incredible value she offers. But here is the twist. While the golf world welcomed her, the WNBA's reaction has been anything but friendly. Why would the WNBA feel intimidated by Clark's popularity? Could it be envy or something more? Stay with us, because this story delves into a rivalry that is about to change everything in women's sports.
And the LPGA, fans, well, the event was taken over by the ominous crowd.
The LPGA's decision to bring Caitlin Clark to their event was a game changer. Fans of all ages and backgrounds appeared, not just to watch golf, but to get a glimpse of Clark herself. Her popularity is undeniable. She has brought a massive influx of new fans to women's sports. And the LPGA, they saw it immediately, welcoming her with open arms, recognizing she's not just a star, but a beacon attracting new eyes to their sport. The LPGA celebrated her presence, knowing Caitlin wasn't just a basketball player, but a magnet for young audiences, many of whom had likely never considered women's golf before.
Made sure to go get angry at everything Caitlin Clark did, and everything Caitlin Clark does and was ever going to do, and made it that she was the problem and not the solution.
The LPGA just sparked a storm, and it's one that has the WNBA fuming.
However, this warm welcome stirred something unexpected, a wave of frustration from within the WNBA. Why? It appears that instead of embracing Clark's universal appeal, some voices in the WNBA see her as a competitor for attention. Despite the potential boost she could offer, there's a feeling in the league that she's diverting focus from its established stars. Some WNBA players and supporters express skepticism, claiming the attention on Clark detracts from the progress they fought so hard to achieve. But consider this, if women's sports are to expand, wouldn't it be wise to welcome a talent like Caitlin, who brings new fans? The WNBA's reaction, in sharp contrast to the LPGA's, raises the question, is this resistance about protecting their stars, or are they missing the bigger picture?
The LPGA, you can see when it came to them that they were happy that Caitlin Clark was there. They knew exactly the value that Caitlin Clark brought to the whole event. They saw how important it was that new fans were getting involved in golf, especially women's golf.
What makes this situation more intriguing is how LPGA players and fans responded. The atmosphere at the event was electric. The crowd felt it was there for something historic, not just another golf tournament. People arrived early, eager to see Clark in action, and stayed long after, engaging with players and soaking up the excitement. This wasn't a one-time boost. It's a signal of growing interest that could elevate women's sports everywhere. LPGA stars like Nelly Korda openly praised Clark, calling her a breath of fresh air, and noting how great it was to see a new crowd. They saw Caitlin not as a threat, but as an ally who could bring energy and enthusiasm to their game. The LPGA knew expanding their fan base would benefit everyone, and didn't hesitate to seize the opportunity.
When it came to Caitlin Clark, it was a lot of we don't need you, and we were good before, and we don't like your fans, and this, that, and everything.
Contrast that with the WNBA, which has been unfortunately more defensive about Clark's popularity. There's a feeling that Caitlin represents a shift that challenges the league's traditional dynamics. Instead of focusing on cross-promotion possibilities or how her popularity could boost visibility, some in the WNBA view her fan base as an intrusion. This mindset, however, might be holding the league back at a pivotal moment. Sports are evolving, and leagues that fail to adapt risk being left behind. The LPGA seems to grasp that change is vital for growth, while the WNBA appears cautious, maybe overly protective of its identity. By giving Clark's popularity the cold shoulder, is the WNBA missing out on something that could benefit not just their league, but the entire landscape of women's sports?
They did everything they could to sabotage their own league. And yeah, it backfired. For me anyway, I think it's hard to argue that it didn't completely backfire for them, because Caitlin Clark is more popular than ever.
Meanwhile, the WNBA's hesitation to fully embrace Clark shows a very different strategy. Rather than celebrating her power to unite fans across sports, some in the league seem to see her popularity as a distraction. It's as if they're guarding an exclusive club instead of an inclusive platform for all women's sports fans. This approach, starkly different from the LPGA's open arms, could impede the WNBA's growth long-term. Today's fans seek dynamic stories, personalities, and connections between leagues. By excluding someone like Caitlyn, the WNBA risks seeming out of touch with what modern sports audiences desire. In trying to maintain a narrow focus, they might lose the chance to build a broader, more engaged fan base. What makes Caitlyn Clark's popularity so compelling is her genuine love for all sports. She has publicly supported female athletes across disciplines, stressing the importance of unity and shared success. Clark has repeatedly expressed her respect for leagues like the WNBA and her passion for promoting women's sports overall. Imagine if the WNBA had leveraged this passion instead of dismissing it. Clark's influence could have attracted new fans, increased ticket sales, and given the league a visibility boost. But instead, the league's response has been cautious, almost dismissive. This could be a significant missed opportunity for the WNBA, one they may come to regret. Rather than welcoming Clark as an ally, they've unintentionally created public tension, which could alienate the very fans they want to attract. The difference in strategy between the LPGA and WNBA is a clear lesson in adaptability. The LPGA viewed Caitlyn Clark's appearance as a moment to grow, bringing in new audiences and seizing a unique opportunity. They knew that women's sports, which traditionally have lower viewership, benefit immensely from cross-league support and unity. The LPGA isn't worried about where the fans come from, they're just thrilled more people are interested in their sport. By working with stars like Clark, they're positioning themselves to attract and keep those fans long-term. In contrast, the WNBA's position suggests they see Clark's popularity as a threat, not an asset. Instead of capitalizing on her cross-sport appeal, they seem focused on preserving a status quo that may not serve them in the evolving sports world. The LPGA's experience with Caitlyn Clark should be a blueprint for other leagues on adapting to changing times. While the WNBA's protective stance may seem justified to insiders, it risks alienating fans and hindering growth. If leagues like the WNBA don't welcome stars who can bring in new audiences, they may struggle to compete in an increasingly connected sports world. Fans desire collaboration, energy, and unity, particularly in women's sports where challenges are shared. The LPGA's success with Clark shows that growth and openness go together, a model that could benefit all women's sports if more leagues were willing to adopt it. As Caitlyn Clark's influence grows, the divide in how the LPGA and WNBA handle her fame will likely become more obvious. The LPGA's embrace of Clark could spark a wider trend of collaboration between women's sports leagues, an approach that could elevate them all. Meanwhile, the WNBA's hesitation might ultimately limit its own reach. By not taking the opportunity to work with a star like Clark, they are potentially leaving fans and resources untapped. This isn't just about one player or league, it's about the future of women's sports as a collective force. And if the WNBA fails to adjust, it may watch as other leagues capitalize on the star power they decided to overlook. The reaction to Caitlyn Clark's rise has exposed a fundamental split between women's sports leagues. While the LPGA's approach shows adaptability and vision, the WNBA's reaction points to a more protective, almost defensive posture. It's surprising to see such friction, especially when women's sports could gain so much from unity and shared promotion. Caitlyn Clark has proven she's not just a fan favorite, but a true advocate for all female athletes. Her genuine love for women's sports, magnetic personality, and ability to draw crowds are incredible assets, not just for basketball, but for every sport she touches. Imagine if the WNBA had followed the LPGA's lead and publicly celebrated Clark's success. What if they viewed her as a bridge to connect new audiences to their games? The potential for crossover appeal among sports fans of basketball, golf, and more could be enormous. It's not just about Caitlyn's fan base, it's about the broader impact she can have by inspiring young girls to engage with women's sports generally. The WNBA could have seized this moment, aligning with Clark's story and using her influence to boost their league's visibility. Instead, they've projected an image of exclusivity that could ultimately backfire, leaving everyone wondering why the league isn't more welcoming. In today's sports world, fans crave stories and stars they can connect with. Caitlyn Clark is more than an athlete, she's a personality, and that's what draws people in. The LPGA saw this and used her appeal to create a vibrant and fresh event. The crowds that came to see her weren't just there for golf, they were there for the story, the excitement, and the chance to be part of something new. This is where the LPGA showed true insight. It weren't focused on keeping things exclusive to golf, they were focused on growing their sport and saw Clark as the perfect person to help. The question now is, why hasn't the WNBA adopted a similar mindset? What's more interesting is how fans have reacted to the WNBA's reluctance to embrace Clark. Many fans are vocal in their support for her regardless of the sport. They want her to succeed and are eager to follow her journey, be it on a basketball court or a golf course. By not fully embracing her, the WNBA risks alienating not just Clark's fans, but also their own. The message this sends to young aspiring athletes could be harmful. Instead of promoting unity and celebrating success, the WNBA's stance creates division, implying there's no room for collaboration. The LPGA, conversely, seems to grasp the value of community and mutual promotion. Their approach highlights a broader understanding of what modern sports fans want. People want to see athletes supporting each other, leagues collaborating, and an atmosphere of unity. The LPGA's partnership with Caitlin Clark signaled they are not just open to growth, but actively seeking it. They aren't afraid of new fans or the attention she brings. In fact, they welcome it. This difference shows a flexibility that could be vital for the LPGA's future. While they capitalize on this moment, the WNBA seems stuck in a mindset that could limit its growth. Unfortunately, the WNBA's response appears rooted in outdated thinking that values exclusivity over expansion. By distancing themselves from Clark, they are missing the chance to engage a much larger audience. Fans of women's sports want to see athletes and leagues support each other, break down barriers, and work together to highlight women's achievements. The WNBA's reluctance to embrace this collaborative spirit may ultimately put them at a disadvantage, especially as other leagues like the LPGA show a willingness to adapt to meet fans' desires. The LPGA's embrace of Caitlin Clark could establish a precedent for how women's sports leagues interact in the future. Imagine a world where leagues openly promote crossover events, celebrate each other's stars, and see the value of shared fan bases. This approach could redefine women's sports, making them more accessible, popular, and respected. By working together, leagues can build a larger, more inclusive world for women's sport. The LPGA's decision to embrace Clark might just be the start of something revolutionary, but if the WNBA doesn't change its mindset, it risks being left behind as others capitalize on the opportunity for fresh energy and new fans. As this story unfolds, it's clear Caitlin Clark's influence is still growing. The LPGA's decision to bring her in was a bold move that has paid off in ways that will likely benefit them for years. Clark is a superstar, and her fans follow her everywhere. The LPGA's willingness to welcome her and celebrate her popularity shows a foresight other leagues should note. They understand growth isn't about gatekeeping, it's about opening doors, inviting new fans, and showing the world how exciting women's sports can be. In contrast, the WNBA's resistance reveals a mindset that could limit its own potential. By focusing on maintaining the current status quo, they are missing the chance to expand their fan base. It's a reminder that sports, especially women's athletics, must be flexible and open to change. Today's fans are drawn to authenticity, connection, and stories that cross traditional lines. Caitlin Clark represents all of that and more, and any league welcoming her influence will likely see incredible rewards. If this situation has taught us anything, it's that women's sports can gain enormously from collaboration, openness, and a willingness to embrace stars who draw attention to the game. The LPGA's embrace of Clark is a move in the right direction, showing they are willing to take risks, innovate, and prioritize the growth of women's sports. The WNBA, on the other hand, risks falling behind by holding on to an outdated approach that doesn't meet modern fan expectations. Women's sports are on the verge of a major transformation, and the leagues that adapt will be the ones to thrive. The LPGA's embrace of Caitlin Clark and the WNBA's resistance show two very different futures for women's sport. While one league sees an opportunity, the other seemingly sees a threat. As Caitlin Clark's influence grows, the WNBA's reluctance could be very costly. What are your thoughts? Is the WNBA making a mistake, or is their approach justified? Let us know in the comment, and if you found this analysis insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more on sports, strategy, and culture. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates from women's sport.